I'm Harry Douglas with the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm hanging with Dr. Hendrix.
So what's your story? Hi, and welcome to Hanging with Dr. Hendrix. Have you ever been faced with a life challenge that seemed so insurmountable you had no idea how you would make it through? Today's show spotlights three of the most inspiring people I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. I call them the Unstoppables. Meet Mr. Adrian Cortland, Tremaine Bell, and Dr. Stephanie Phillips. Mr. Cortland is the principal of Riverdale Middle School. Tremaine is a student at Riverdale High School. And Dr. Stephanie Phillips is the Deputy Superintendent for the Clayton County Public School District. Although their stories are different, one thing is certain: only people of great character, great faith, and a belief in self could have maintained a positive outlook on life while encountering the hardships they faced. Before we get to their stories, I ask that you consider these great people who had to overcome some extraordinary life challenges before discovering their life purposes. One of the greatest people in American history is Helen Keller. Helen Keller was a great American lecturer, author, and activist. Deaf and blind since early childhood and living in an era when people similarly afflicted were consigned to an asylum, Helen Keller overcame her disabilities and rose to become internationally renowned. Ms. Keller used her fame to educate others about being blind and raise funds for related charities. Her commitment to social change was extensive. She donated money to the NAACP and was a founding member of the ACLU. Oprah Winfrey was born January 29, 1954, and is an American television host, actress, producer, and philanthropist. She is best known for her award-winning talk show. It is the highest-rated program of its kind in history. In the eyes of many, Ms. Winfrey is the most influential woman in the world. But before the world came to know her as simply Oprah, she grew up a little girl in Mississippi who had a difficult childhood, experiencing many years of abuse, including being raped at age 9 and a pregnancy at age 14. J.K. Rowling's first marriage to Portuguese television journalist ended in divorce after less than 1 year. She then moved with her infant daughter to Edinburgh, Scotland, where she lived on welfare benefits in an apartment infested with mice. It's hard to believe that in less than 10 years, someone can go from surviving off of government-assisted living to becoming one of the richest people in the world. She did so by creating the Harry Potter Teenage Wizard book series, selling over 350 million copies in 55 languages, including Latin and ancient Greek. Rowling has parlayed Harry Potter into a global brand worth an estimated $15 billion. She is the 136th richest person in the world and the 13th richest woman in Britain. Forbes magazine named her the second richest female entertainer in the world and the 48th most powerful celebrity. She is one of only 5 self-made female billionaires and the first billionaire author. Mr. Adrian Cortland is an amazing person. He is a graduate of the world-renowned Morehouse College, the very successful principal of Riverdale Middle School, and a deacon at his church. He is also a gentleman and a family man who shows decency and kindness to everyone he meets. But not so long ago, he was a young man growing up in his hometown of Riverdale and facing the type of challenges that lead many young men astray. His childhood took a turn for the worse when his father began using drugs. Mr. Cortland could have made the decision to give up on his hopes and his dreams, but he did not. Here to share his story, my colleague and my friend, the unstoppable Mr. Adrian Cortland. So, we're here in your old neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You're a product of North Clayton High School, a product of Clayton County, and now you find yourself principal of Riverdale Middle School. Yes. But it all started right here in this community. Mm-hmm. Tell me about this community.
Well, it's a working class community. Okay. People took pride in their little swatch of land that they had.
Right.
And we saw that with the neighborhood and with the yards and the upkeep of the homes and what have you. And we just loved each other as a neighborhood and as a community and took care of each other.
Yeah. So what's different about the community as we stand here today, and it's kind of like going back in time for you? That's the way it would be if this was the community that I'm from and I lived in. What's different about the community? Because I would venture to say that communities across Clayton County have a lot of similarities.
Things have changed. I think the people have changed, and obviously the neighborhood has changed. My old house doesn't look the same, but I remember we had one of the best yards, the best houses in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And I'm sure this house has changed hands over the years. Okay. And I just don't see, the community taking care of itself like it did back when I used to live here in the 80s and 90s.
Let's talk about the things that you've experienced in your life. It wasn't always just Adrian Cortland, the principal. You had a childhood, and that childhood had some adversity. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we were a typical family. We loved each other, mom and dad in the household. But when we moved here in 1986, I think my dad took a downward spiral. Okay. He had some difficulties finding a job, and he had always experimented with drugs per se. But when he got here, a year or so after he got here, he started doing crack cocaine. And that really just took our family in a downward spiral and actually kind of had a very adverse effect on me and my 3 siblings.
Describe that adverse effect, because I would assume that would be a very difficult thing that you would have happen in your life as a child. What was that spiral like? What kind of things changed in your family structure and in your life?
Well, I noticed that, and I speak in metaphors. Sure. The yard started changing.
Sure.
And I noticed then that my dad just stopped taking pride in the family, in the house, and in what he did. He stopped doing the yard, and he did that every weekend. In fact, he did the neighbor's yard every weekend. When he stopped doing those little things around the house, we knew something was wrong. And then we noticed the lights would be cut off or shut off, the water, then the car would be repossessed. And in putting all of that together, we knew we had a problem, or that he had a problem. And I remember one incident. I was at school. I was maybe in the 10th grade, Dr. Hendrix, and I heard some guys talking. It was, I think, a history class, and they were saying how they beat up this guy and took his money and that kind of thing. Right. And they called his name. And I realized that they were talking about my dad. Wow. And I was in the classroom laughing about it, whatever, but when I heard my dad's name, it was kind of like the smile on my face froze. Wow. And I knew they were talking about me, and I knew that my dad had come home saying that he had been beaten up and somebody had stolen his paycheck. But, he didn't tell us the drug part. And so, that right there was like a punch in the face, that reality right there. And so having to do and to deal with that, it really made me stronger. My siblings stronger, and my mother had no choice but to just be the mother and the father in the household. And I'm going to tell you, she did a great job. Yeah.
So how did you will yourself to be Adrian Cortland, the scholar, ultimately Adrian Cortland, the person who goes on to have a professional career in education, and ultimately become the principal of Riverdale Middle School?